Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. Please make sure you are subscribed to the All This Math YouTube channel. Go ahead, like the video, share this video with somebody at some point, and drop a comment down below. All right. And especially if you have questions. If you got questions about what I explained, what I'm about to explain, then please put your question in the comments also so I can know what type of concerns and questions people still have. All right. Now, we're dealing with some HSPT math, which is high school placement test for eighth graders in Catholic schools, right? To kind of get a measurement of, where they are in terms of their current mathematical ability and proficiency level. All right, and this is an example of one of the questions that you might see on there. All right, let's read it. It says that the perimeter of a trapezoid is 56 centimeters. The perimeter of a trapezoid is 56 centimeters. What is its area? So you got to use some critical thinking. So this is a great question because, well, all math questions allow us to practice critical thinking. But this is one of them ones that where you got to do a little more critical thinking than normal, than in your typical problem. All right. First of all, you need to know some vocabulary. What is a perimeter? What does that mean? The perimeter, not to be confused with area, which we're going to talk about in a minute, right? Perimeter is the length around a shape. So from here to here, plus from here to here, plus from here to here, plus from here to here. The total lengths of those four sides added together is the perimeter. That's the perimeter. Also, what is a trapezoid? A trapezoid is a quadrilateral, right? A quadrilateral is a polygon that has four sides, right? It's a quadrilateral that has exactly one pair of parallel sides, not two pairs. That would be a rectangle or a square, right? One pair of parallel sides. So in this particular trapezoid, this side and this side are parallel to each other. This side and this side are parallel to each other. How do you know that? Because these are right angle symbols. Right angle symbols. So that means that this side is perpendicular to this side, and this side is also perpendicular to this side. So if they're perpendicular to the same side, that means they have to be parallel to each other. That's a rule from geometry. All right. So a trapezoid has exactly one pair of parallel sides and one pair of sides that are not parallel. You see how this one is slanted and this one is looks like it's horizontal? It is. This is horizontal. And we know it is because right angle symbol. So if this is vertical, this got to be horizontal. All right. Now, what is it? What is this area? Now, there's a formula for area that you should know. All right. It's similar to the formula for the area of a triangle, right? If you think of a triangle, right, and you just kind of like this could be a triangle squished in, right? So imagine that, well, not that way, but imagine this was pushed in like that, and then this side met with that side. Then this will be a triangle, right? So let's write down the formula for the area of a trapezoid. The formula for the area of a trapezoid is this. The area of a trapezoid. The area of the trap is equal to 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times the height, right? Because a trapezoid has two bases, right? Whereas a triangle has one base. A triangle's got one base, right? The trapezoid's got two bases, right? The bases are the parallel sides. Put that in your notes. If you're wondering, well, which sides are the bases? Is this a base? Is that a base? Is this a base? Is this a base? The bases are the parallel sides. Those are the bases. The bases are the parallel sides. So there's parallel sides of this side and this side. So the bases are 12 and 14, right? Now, what's the height? The height is perpendicular to, put this in your notes. The height is perpendicular to the parallel sides. The height is perpendicular to the parallel sides. So this part, this side, right, like this slanted side right here, this is not the height. It's not the height because that's not perpendicular to these two sides. This side is perpendicular, right? So in order to figure out the area, we need to know the length of the first base and the second base, 12 and 14, and we need to know the height. We don't know the height though. So this where the critical thinking comes into play. So the critical thinking comes into play. How do we figure out what the measure of this side is? If we know the perimeter is 56, and the perimeter is the sum of all four sides added together. If the perimeter is the sum of all four sides added together, and we're missing one of the sides, what you think we gotta do? Add the sides that we do know, find the sum of those three sides, and then find the difference between the total 56 and the sum of the three sides. I'm gonna say it again. See, but before I say it again, this is why math is important. This is why geometry is important, right? It ain't about a test. It ain't about an HSPT test. It ain't about an SAT. It ain't about none of that, really. That's secondary and tertiary, right? The important thing is math gives you an opportunity to practice using critical thinking, meaning it gives you an opportunity to develop your brain, right? So many things in our society are meant to dumb us down and keep us stupid, right? So we can be easily taken advantage of and easily exploited and easily oppressed, right? We should run toward things that actually give us a chance to think and use our brains, right? Even though it feels good to just sit back and chill and be dumb sometimes, right? Unfortunately, right? We should run to opportunities to practice being smart. And if you don't never practice being smart, you ain't never going to be smart. And that's why you be getting taken advantage of. And then you be mad when you get taken advantage of because you wasn't smart enough to see it coming from around the corner. You should have known better because you don't practice math, geometry. So when you're sitting in class, like, well, I got to learn this. When I'm going to use this in life, you're going to use your brain. Hopefully you can use your brain in life. Hopefully you're going to use critical thinking in life, right? Because if you can't use it, you're going to get taken advantage of. There's no way to avoid that. So this is what the math is really about. A lot of math teachers don't have this type of conversation with their students. Early in my career, I didn't have this conversation with my students because I didn't know. I wasn't up on all this 20 years ago, right? But I want you to think about this. Critical thinking. Math is about developing your critical thinking ability. And critical thinking ability can be used in any situation, anywhere, any and every situation. So, all right, so like I was saying, how are we going to figure out what this is? And why do we even need this? We need this because to find the area, you need to know the height because that's the formula right there, right? The formula is like the recipe. Tells you how to cook the food, right? So you don't know the height yet, but we can figure it out though. If the perimeter is 56, that means you add this, add that, and add this to get 56. If I know three of the sides, let's add them up. Let's do some mental math. What's 18 plus 12? That's 30. What's 30 plus 14? That's 44. Now, if these three sides add up to 44, but all four sides add up to 56, then the difference between 44 and 56 must be the length of this side right here. It must be the length of this side right here. All right. So let's do 56 minus 44. Again, if you wasn't paying attention, where did I get the 44 from? 44 is the sum of these three sides, 14 plus 18 plus 12. I did 18 and 12 and I got 30. Then I take this 30, I add 14 to it, I get 44. The length of this side is going to be the difference between the total perimeter and the sum of these three sides. So that's 56 minus 44. That's where the 44 came from. Now we're going to have 56 minus 44. That's 6 and 6. That's 12. So this missing side is 12 centimeters. Now I know this look crazy because you might be thinking, and you should be thinking this. This is what we call not to scale because you should be thinking, how is the length from here to here the same as the length from here to here? That clearly don't look the same. This happens a lot in geometric problems with shapes and triangles and trapezoids and rectangles and everything. Things aren't drawn to scale. I got this question online somewhere. Somebody didn't draw this properly, right? The numbers don't really make sense in real life, right? But the theory is good. The math is still solid. All right. But it's good that if you recognize it, if you sitting there watching this video like, yo, hold up. How is this 12 and that's 12 also at the same time when that don't look the same? A lot of times it ain't going to look the same. A lot of time it ain't going to look like it makes sense in a lot of geometry problems. Right. But just make sure that you following the math principles correctly. All right. So now we know what the height is now. So now I'm going to come back here to my formula for the area of a trapezoid. And I'm going to have 1/2. What's B1? Does it matter which one of these is B1? No, it don't matter. It don't matter. This could be B1, that could be B1. Just as long as you got both of them, you add them together. So we're going to have 12 plus 14. Why? Because the bases are the parallel sides. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides, and the other two sides are not parallel. These two sides are not parallel. These sides are parallel. All right, so the bases are the parallel sides. 12 centimeters, 14 centimeters. That's where this go. Replace B1 and B2 with that. The height is the side that's perpendicular to the parallel side. This ain't perpendicular to this. This ain't perpendicular to this. This is perpendicular to this because look at the symbols. You got right angle symbols. So they got to be perpendicular. All right. So now we multiply that by 12. Now we about to be done. Now we just going to do the work. Now, there's different ways we could do this. I'm going to follow order of operations. I'm going to do 12 plus 14 first. 12 plus 14 is 26. And then we got 1/2 times 26 times 12. I could do 26 times 12 first if I wanted to be fancy and then take a half, but I ain't going to do that. I'm going to do a half times 26. A half of 26 is 13. Make sure you know your multiplication facts. If you know your multiplication facts, then you're going to know your division facts. A half times 26 is the same thing as saying 26 divided by 2, right? Divided by 2. 26 divided by 2. The same thing as 26 times 1/2. Same thing as 1/2 times 26. So that's going to be 13 times 12. Again, multiplication facts. If you got multiplication facts memorized, this make this work so much easier. What's 13 times 12? 13 times 12, I think is, well, let me see. 12 times 12 is 144, right? I know that by heart, right? 12 times 12 is 144. If you add another 12 to 144, that's going to be what? 156. 156 squared because area is squared. Area is squared. Area is squared. All right, let me make sure that's 156. 13 times 10 is 130. 13 times 10 is 130. 13 times 2 is 26. 130 and 26 is 156. Yeah, 156. Yeah, we good. We good. Yeah, so the area of this trapezoid is 156 square meters. Now, let me tell you real quick, what does area mean? Because it's all great. It's all fun and games. It's great to know how to find the area of a trapezoid, how to plug the numbers in, do all the math and everything. What does this number mean? What this number means is this. That means that on the face of this trapezoid, we can fit 156 squares side by side with no gaps in between them. 156 squares that are 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. That's what area means. That's how we measure the space inside of a shape, right? Whether it's a rectangle, triangle, square, trapezoid, pentagon, hexagon, octagon, whatever. 156 square centimeters. That means that's how many centimeters can fit on the face of this. This is how we measure things. That's how we figure out the measurement, you know? And also, so again, we're developing our critical thinking ability. This is why we're doing math. We're doing math so we could develop our critical thinking ability so we could be smart. So we could be smart. I know a lot of people say ignorance is bliss, but at some point, you're going to get caught up. That bliss is going to run out. Yeah, promise you. All right. So this is how you do this type of problem. Find the area, memorize the formula for the area of a trapezoid. All right. Also, memorize the formula for the perimeter of a trapezoid, and just know what perimeter means. And we had to use critical thinking to figure out the missing side. And why do we need the missing side? Because it's part of the formula for area. That's why. All right. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you drop a comment down below if anything I explained didn't make sense. It ain't kind of like, ain't jive properly. You know what I'm saying? Just put your question in the comments. All right. Share this video with somebody and like the video. All right. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.